This podcast is brought to you by the Pro Bono Institute. PBI is a nonprofit organization that supports, enhances, and helps to transform the pro bono efforts of major law firms, in-house corporate legal departments, and public interest organizations in the U.S. and around the world. Welcome to the Pro Bono Happy Hour. I'm your host, Nihad Mansour, Assistant Director of the law firm Pro Bono Project. In today's Challenge Signatory Showcase episode, I'm speaking with Flavia Regina Oliveira, Pro Bono Partner and Partner of Social Impact and Philanthropy at Mattos Filho, and Caroline Sena, Litigation Associate in Mattos Filho's 100% Pro Bono Practice Group, about Mattos Filho's racial justice pro bono work representing individuals who experience racial discrimination in Brazil. We find out about the amazing pro bono work by law firms and corporations through PBI's annual surveys sent to signatories of the Law Firm Pro Bono Challenge Initiative and the Corporate Pro Bono Challenge Initiative. PBI uses the surveys as an essential source of both quantitative and qualitative information about the pro bono programs of law firms and in-house corporate legal departments, and produces both a law firm challenge report and a CPBO challenge report every June with the data collected. Check out this year's challenge reports on PBI's website. Let's get into today's showcase.
Here in Mattos Filho, we define the pro bono representations for individuals who suffered discrimination in Brazil as a promoting of ethnic and racial equity and confronting all forms of racism and discrimination through pro bono work and other diversity initiatives. In Brazil, a considerable portion of the population faces structural racism and discrimination. So we organize our pro bono work in 5 different strategies for racial discrimination. We offer individual defense, institutional strengthening of civil society organizations. We work for NGOs that work for racial discrimination. We do advocacy and strategic litigation, and we develop partnerships with other institutions that work in the field to achieve our purposes. In this structure, our pro bono work focuses not only on the local and community impact, but we look in a broader perspective, aiming in structural changes in jurisprudence and legislation. Caroline can talk about our really experience in the field and the repercussions in the civil area, criminal area, and administrative sphere, all we do for individuals.
Thank you, Flavia. In Brazil, convictions for racial crimes are rare and usually treated as isolated acts of racial assault. Data shows that in cases of civil convictions, only 8% also had a criminal conviction. Many times, the same episode of racial discrimination has repercussions in the criminal, civil, and administrative spheres. That's why the repercussions in the civil area are achieved by requesting a conviction as a way of repairing the moral damage caused by racial discrimination, given the intimate and personal repercussions of racism. And on the other hand, we act in the criminal area by seeking responsibility for the discriminatory act practiced, an opportunity in which we act assistant prosecutors in cases of racial assault. Finally, we act in the administrative sphere to monitor the accountability of discriminatory acts to society, which in the state of São Paulo is investigated and conducted by the São Paulo Department of Citizenship and Justice. Through this structure, our pro bono practice offers free legal advice to paradigmatic individual cases or those involving collective protection of rights, always aiming for a structural change, like Flavia said.
What has been the role of Mattos Filho in these pro bono projects?
Before talking about specific of the role of Mattos Filho, I want to say that here in Mattos Filho, we are the first law firm in Brazil to organize a pro bono practice. And we did it because we had the response to respond to the inequality on access to justice in Brazil. And we believe that we need to do something to refrain persistent human rights violation in Brazil. And in 2016, we engaged a full-time coordinator, that is Bianca Vax, and now she's out of the office in maternity leave. And in 2018, we launched the Mattos Filho 100% practice. It was also a pioneer initiative, and we hired a full team exclusively dedicated to pro bono case to provide relevant expertise and support to human rights cases. What is our role? Given the fact that the Brazil we have only one clearinghouse in Brazil, that is Instituto Pro Bono. Maybe some of you know about it. So Mattos Filho Pro Bono Practice, we signed cooperation agreement with the Public Defender's Office in October 2019. And why we did it? To receive referral of cases of individuals in situation of social and financial vulnerability, and to prepare opinions and memorandums for the development of innovative theses on human rights. Also, we promote and defend some human rights, as we mentioned before, racial rights, women's rights, refugee rights, LGBT plus rights, and the strengthening of civil society organizations. And we also collaborate with national and international organizations that work with human rights in Brazil and internationally. So mainly our role is divided in these activities for individuals and for the strengthening of the civil society. Here, Carolina can talk about some cases that we did last year. We mentioned to Pro Bono in our questionnaire. We had two relevant cases that maybe Carolina can talk about one of them that involved an individual in Brazil.
And this case is about representation of individuals who suffered racial discrimination. We have two important cases, but what I want to point out is that what guides the handling of the case and the definition of the strategy to be used is the way in which has affected the person who was offended. That's why when we receive a case, we make initial contact with we call reception or welcoming, and in which our main role is to listen actively and identify what kind of consequence the offended person is seeking. In one of our cases, our client wanted the person who committed the racial slur to be held criminally responsible because she felt that the racial slur, although it was directed at her in a supposedly joking way, would have a collective and offensive effect because of the way it was said. In this specific case, our work in the criminal proceedings resulted in the court recognizing that it was not necessary to prove a specific intent to establish a crime of racial discrimination. And we have a second case in our client filed a complaint with the Department of Justice and Citizenship after racial slurs were made against her in an argument following a traffic accident. On that occasion, the offenses were uttered by the defendant as a way of compelling our client not to take any action for the accident. In this case, we obtained a ruling from the Specialized Center for the Defense of Diversity and Racial Equality, which recognized that the racial slur committed against her was in fact a way of reaffirming and perpetrating structural racism. In these two cases, the rulings were very important for guiding the judgment in similar cases, but above all because they met the expectations of the people offended. And that's exactly what we are trying to do, meet the client's needs and achieve precedents that have an impact on the judgment of similar cases.
What organizations did the firm collaborate with for this partnership project, and why are these collaborations so important?
So, as I mentioned before, here in Brazil, we have only one clearinghouse, that is Instituto Pro Bono. And to make partnership with other civil society organizations in order to receive indications of new clients and cases from our partners. So, the most important partner that we have is the Public Defender's Office, as I mentioned before. And also, we have a really good partnership with Caritas Brazil, and also with some international organizations like Trust Law, PIONET, Cyrus Vance Center, and also we have partnership with other Brazilian organizations we call Innocence Project Brazil, and we receive very, very interesting civil cases that Carolina can talk about, because those cases are really, really, really difficult to work with, because they are about people that was decided guilty, but they were not. And Innocence Project Brazil come to Mattos Filho to ask us to provide a civil lawsuit in order those people to receive a civil repair, like an amount of money for them. So we have really, really interesting cases that came from Innocence Project Brazil, and have a partnership also with ACNUR for our refugee cases. Those partnerships, I only mentioned some organizations that we have partnership, and the most important thing of this partnership is to receive cases from those organizations, and we always provide pro bono work for individuals and NGOs that cannot have enough financial resources to afford for legal services. And through the cases, we can promote human rights. That's the point. And Carolina, I don't know if you want to add something regarding the Innocence Project Brazil and the civil cases that we receive.
Just the cases referred by Innocence Project are like compensation actions in which we seek reparations for the damage caused by convictions imposed on innocent people. Through these actions, we seek to guarantee the state responsible for these convictions. And it's no rare that we had racism during the investigation that results in a conviction that should not be considered.
What impact has this pro bono work made?
Countries like ours, like Brazil, have enormous challenges related to social inequality and its logical consequences on the guarantee and effectiveness of human rights. So by organizing a structured pro bono practice or assistance to attend both individuals and organizations, we can contribute to overcome the lack of access to justice, and at the same time to influence our countries to develop public policies related to access to justice. I believe this is the main impact we have made. But for example, last year, 2023, our pro bono practice dedicated approximately 20,000 hours of pro bono work. And we involved our full team dedicated to pro bono work. And we have 9 people fully dedicated to pro bono work in Brazil. And we involved more 423 professionals, associates from Mattos Filho. And we did around 270 cases only in 2023. So for us, this represents an advance in the democratization of access to justice, as we expand our assistance to people who have suffered rights violation or support a community-based group in setting up a new legal entity to promote rights for those who don't have the access to their rights. So for us, we are looking all the time good precedents also in the strategic litigation. We have some strategic litigation case, so we are looking for good precedents, such as cases of conviction for racial discrimination with a penalty proportional to the repercussions of the racial slur, for example. This allows paradigmatic cases to guide judging body along the same line as those already applied to the similar cases. So those are the main impact of our pro bono last year. And we are really proud of it.
What would you say is the most challenging part of this type of project?
Before 2015, we had the most challenging part was to show to our bar association that do promote pro bono is good for everybody. After 2015, when our Federal Bar Association ruled a new regulation for pro bono in Brazil, I believe the most challenging part of our project is to establish and have common accordance on criteria to offer pro bono services to benefit civil society organizations and individuals in vulnerable conditions and who really cannot afford to pay for legal services. Also, to raise awareness and bring the judging body, as I mentioned before, whether in civil, criminal, or administrative sphere, close to the reality of the people whose right has been violated. Carol can talk more about it because she works on these cases and she knows how our judging body face the cases in reality.
These cases that we acted with individual defense are very sensitive and sometimes we have some distance between the judge and the claimant. And we work for bring the history of the claims closer, more detailed, that it can be easy and comprehensive. The judge takes some positions if he knows about what the situation that the people live and the causes of the social context, for example.
Is there any advice that you would give to other firms who want to start their own partnership project?
To promote a pro bono program or to start a pro bono practice in a law firm, first of all, define the scope of action and legal areas of interest. We can't cover everything. So we need to define and scope. Here in Mattos Filho, we chose, as I mentioned before, women's rights, LGBT plus rights, racial rights, and refugee rights, and the strengthening of civil society organizations. So we selected these 5 areas of scope for us. Secondly, establish relationships with clearinghouses, local organizations, legal aid agencies, or community groups that can refer for us pro bono cases or collaborate on cases with us. Building strong partnership is really, really crucial for the success of a pro bono program. And we invest a lot in these partnerships. I could say that half of our work is investing in these partnerships, because without them, we couldn't have cases and clients. And then here we engage a full-time coordinator. I know sometimes it is not possible for some law firms, but here in Mattos Filho, we decide to have a full-time pro bono coordinator. And our full-time pro bono coordinator is responsible to dedicate full-time to our program, running the program and having meeting with partners, with clients, and inside the firm, make the bridge between the cases and the associates. And then here we established an internal policy for our pro bono. And we established in this policy that our pro bono hours will be counted as billable hours and is counted for all the performance goals for the associates. And we believe this is really, really important to engage associates in pro bono cases. And also here in Mattos Filho, we created a partner committee. And here we have 9 partners that are involved in this committee. And this committee is responsible to evaluating the pro bono cases and also contributing to the pro bono cases, as well engaging their respective teams in pro bono matters. And finally, we did it here in Mattos Filho. We established a dedicated team of associates fully dedicated to pro bono cases and fully focused on pro bono cases. And all these associates, as I mentioned with our coordinator, all of them work like a bridge among the associates. So for each pro bono cases, we have one member of our 100% pro bono team, and also a group of associates that work with pro bono cases. So we have someone that is fully dedicated, that is an expert in the field, guiding all the associates in our pro bono cases. Also, this 100% pro bono team have the aim of providing relevant expertise inside the firm and actively promote human rights. So I would say those advices for us are really important to have a great pro bono program. I think this is the most important thing. We love doing pro bono. We love promote access to justice. We love when we see a woman, for example, that was suffering for domestic violence, free for this domestic violence, could breathe and could receive her life back. It's amazing.
It really is amazing. But that's it. Like, that's it, right? That's why you do it. That's it. Yeah.
That's why we do it at the end of the day.
Thanks to Flavia Regina Oliveira and Caroline Sena for their leadership and expertise. Special thanks to Mattos Filho for doing great work and being a Law Firm Pro Bono Challenge signatory. If your law firm or in-house legal department is interested in becoming a challenge signatory, check out PBI's website for more information. Thanks for listening, and be sure to tune in next time on the Pro Bono Happy Hours Challenge Signatory Showcase Series to hear more about innovative pro bono work.